How's it going, everybody? This is Craig Bush Rocks. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about something of collecting and stuff from back in the days and stuff with that. Basically, Blockbuster video. One thing I do have is over at my brother's house is a Blockbuster gumball machine. Basically, I told my brother he could take my gumball machine if he buy me a Vita, which he did. But pretty much it's ours. So if I want it over here, I can just say, Jack, bring the gumball machine. I want to display it in the back. He would do that. So we swap back and forth, and stuff like that. But back in the days when I was collecting, this is before like the place we got called disc traders or disc replay in some places and stuff like that, where I got a lot of my games. But even GameStop, I went there a lot though. But mostly I went to video stores to buy games. Primarily, one of the video stores I went to was Blockbuster, and I took advantage of it quite a bit there. And when I used to work in Grand Rapids and stuff like that, and we had a Blockbuster I can go to and stuff like that. When I moved out here, we're out in the middle of nowhere, I was able to go to a Blockbuster before going home. I mean, Blockbuster's been around for a long time, and boy, did I bought a lot of movies and games. I just grabbed a small stack of movies and games, just random, just to show some games and stuff that I bought. But I probably got about of all the 4,000, 5,000 movies that I got, probably over 1,000 of them probably came from Blockbuster at one time or another. But I pulled out some Blu-rays that I picked up from Blockbuster. I remember towards the tail end of Blockbuster, they were selling Blu-rays, and I bought a few of them. But a lot of my games, a good chunk of my games came from Blockbuster, and random sections of my games, there's Blockbuster stickers all over them. My PS3 games, I cleaned off most of them because I'm having a complete collection like that. My games clean as much as possible and changed some of the cases to original PS3 cases and all that. So I can't really pull out too many PS3 games that might have Blockbuster stickers on them, but I did buy about 50 or 60 probably PS3 games over at Blockbuster at one time or another. But back in those days, it was a lot simpler times. This is before even YouTube was taken off for gaming channels. This is kind of before that, when Blockbuster was kind of pushing, pushing out, sales and stuff like that for, buying used movies and stuff like that. They always done that. But even with games and stuff, one of my favorite games right here on a PlayStation 2, I bought this one at Blockbuster. I remember buying this, Downhill Domination. I bought this a couple of times, if I remember correctly. The first one I bought, I sold in the exodus of selling a bunch of my games, and I rebought it over at Blockbuster. So I can have it, which was cool. It had their Blockbuster case, kind of squished the manual into it, but it was great just going there and buying games. Like I said, this was $9.99 back in the day. PS2 is still relevant and stuff like that, so getting a brand a PS2 game for $10 was a good deal and stuff like that. This game probably still goes for maybe $10 today still. I don't know. I don't look up prices on PS2 games too much. But yeah, Downhill Domination. I just realized too, where is it? I'm not sure where I got this from. Downhill Domination demo disc. I was going through a couple of PS2 games. I happened to pull that out. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. But some of those Blu-rays I got from Blockbuster were these right here. I bought these. I think I got a couple more of them. So I bought like a total of 10 of these, I believe. But I got like Predators. They had them in these oversized cases like this, and they printed the artwork in the back. It's like, come on, GameStop, why can't you do that, man, with your used games? At least have the cover with something like this. It would be a little bit easier to get games from you guys. No, Blockbuster did this with their Blu-rays. If they didn't have the original cases, they had this right here, which I appreciated that. So you had your basic Blu-ray Blockbuster right there. I got Predators. So not that old of a movie, really. Predators, yeah, it's been out for a while. But from Paris with Love. So I supported Blockbuster right up to the end. Pretty much. Like I said, I bought their gumball machine, for crying out loud. Oh man, that was pretty sweet. If you look at some of my older videos, you probably see the gumball machine in the background. You might, but it's we still have it. Like I said, it's at my brother's house. We're never getting rid of that one. How about this one? Priest 6.99. They always got the multiple stickers on there and stuff like that. And but yeah, pretty sweet. Oh, I missed the days of Blockbuster, but I realized I bought this one at Blockbuster, but I peeled the stickers off. I got Piglet's Big Game Movie. I must have bought this over there, but if I didn't, someone did because got a Blockbuster sticker right there. And I'm pretty sure, like I said, most of their games are usually $9.99 on the average. There's nothing really too much unless it was a new release and they'll charge a little bit more. But they were always cheaper than GameStop when it comes to some of the used games that they got, which I took advantage of that. I bought tons and tons and tons of games over at Blockbuster. Same thing with Family Video. I talked about that before, where I bought lots of stuff. Any video stores that we had, I bought their games. Family Video and Blockbuster. But Blockbuster was my bread and butter. But got Call of Duty 3 for the original Xbox for $9.99. Yes, it's got the manual and everything. See how the disc looks. Eh, needs a little buffing. I got my buffer, which is not a big deal. I can buff that out real easy. But yeah, it was always cool. Driving home from work, going to Blockbuster, going to pick up something. Or I don't think I rented too many movies, for rent. I've always bought. So I've always bought their whatever's left over and stuff like that. I used to go around. When I did rent movies, I rent something for for a few days and stuff like that. Back I had a house in Grand Rapids and all. I used to rent a couple movies and bring them home. But then I go to the sales section and find all the movies. They have like a display where you can have all your movies and stuff like that. You can go through them and stuff like that and pick out some movies. And a lot of the movies are like 50 cents, a dollar. They weren't expensive. They were pretty cheap. You see the Blu-ray for like $6.99, so you know what the DVD version was going to be like. They were dirt cheap. Like I said, I could pull out a ton of DVDs, but don't need to. Anybody who's been around as long as I have, or anybody who's been to Blockbuster knows that when you buy something used over there, you got a good deal on it. Sometimes you might not get a cover for it. You might just get the DVD, and never know what's with Blockbuster. But most of the time, they always put their little sticker on it, Blockbuster, and stuff like that, and that's how you got it from there. And they always had their own cases and stuff. But I miss those days of buying games back then. This is before the bubble started happening, where everything started going through the roof. You were able to buy games at a cheaper price. Yeah, I remember then YouTube started pushing out more gaming channels and stuff like that, and so Blockbuster was still around when YouTube was around, but but the push didn't happen till like later. So, but when game collecting became really serious, but in the early days before YouTube started putting out, people start putting out more content about gaming on YouTube, hardcore. It was kind of nice going to a video store and picking up a game and not have to pay much for it. Geez, I was probably still at my old job back when I was still buying games at Blockbuster. Probably, maybe I'm thinking, when did Blockbuster close and stuff like that? But I just, I think Blockbuster was first and Family Video was second. So I had, when Blockbuster closed, I had to go to Family Video to supplement my gaming habit. When Family Video closed, the apocalypse happened. No, but I miss video stores in general. Blockbuster being one of them. That was one of the early days of collecting and stuff like that. I've always had little game stores and stuff like that. Then we had Play and Trade for a while. I think the one that we had just recently closed down over there, 28th Street area. I think that one closed, so that's not around no more. But I remember when Play and Trade first came around. That was like one of our early video game stores back in the day. But then we had GameStop, and I think we had EB Games for a while at a couple places. But in general, Blockbuster was just one of the main places I would go to, especially for movies. That was the place to go to for movies. Like I said, we didn't have a place called Disc Traders around here. We didn't have any kind of store like that. That's what we had to go to. We still had our Myers and stuff like that, and Walmart and things like that back in the day. Got back in the early '90s. Yeah, it would be Myers or go to the mall for some movies, but most of the time I would buy them used at a video store that would Blockbuster. Yeah. But it's fun to think about that, some reminiscence and stuff like that. I wish Blockbuster would come back around. Someone would buy the name, and we got one Blockbuster still out there in the middle of nowhere. I can't remember where it's at, but we still got one Blockbuster. I wish they would just make a comeback because physical media is making a slow comeback because of younger generations don't want to spend a lot of money on stuff. So video stores is a perfect place to go to. I mean, for renting too and stuff like that. It was a perfect spot. I think I think if they started open up smaller stores, around, I think it would make a comeback. But that's just my opinion on it because I'm old school and stuff like that. But my daughter likes physical media. That's one reason I can tell you right now that yeah, physical media is picking up with the younger generation. So you know, I like to see my daughter go pick up a game at a video store. She can't do that right now because there's no video store for her to go pick up a game at. And Blockbuster closed back when she was young, real young, back in the day. She got to go in the stores with me to go pick up games before they closed off permanently. Mostly she got to see Family Video, but not Blockbuster. But enough reminiscing about Blockbuster. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. You can't give a thumbs down talking about awesome video stores back in the day. That's just, that was cool back then. But make sure you comment below. What you think? Did you get a lot of your used games and movies from over there? Let me know what was your favorite pickup from Blockbuster, if you can remember. I already know what my favorite one was. It's Downhill Domination. But there's a lot of stuff I picked up. But let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell icon. And I'll check y'all in the next video. Bye. Fun times, everybody. Fun times indeed.